Norway, one of the most impressive countries in Europe. From enormous waterfalls to rugged mountains with winding roads, the vast fjords and sprawling glaciers define this country's stunning landscape. Join me on my unforgettable journey from the far north to the far south, a road trip spanning 18 days and thousands of kilometers. After exploring Poland, the Baltic states, and Finland, it's time for the final leg of this adventure. Enjoy this beautiful scenery with me, and be sure to share your favorite spots along the way. Welcome to my road trip to the Nordkapp. I continue with day 18 of my journey. After crossing the border, you immediately notice the landscape changing. The relatively flat Finnish scenery gives way to hills and mountains. From the border crossing near Kärkens, I drive westward. Unfortunately, the beautiful weather of the past few days has given way to rain. After a short visit to the Tana church, I continue through an impressive river landscape, which is also my final destination for this first day in Norway. The Silfar Canyon, an awe-inspiring gorge cut through by an emerald green river, is next on my route. The cliffs on either side of the river reach up to 60 meters in some places, making it a spectacular setting for a beautiful morning hike. Although this natural gem is relatively unknown, its location along the main road makes it perfect for a short or extended stop. After visiting this beautiful place, it's finally time to head toward the goal I've been working toward for 19 days, the North Cape. Although it doesn't look far on the map, the only road leading to the North Cape is still over 130 kilometers long. But driving here is an amazing experience thanks to the incredibly beautiful landscape. Along the way, I encounter many cyclists. From all over Europe, people cycle for months with the North Cape as their goal. I reached the northernmost point of Europe accessible by car after nearly 7,000 kilometers. The actual northernmost point lies a bit farther west and is only accessible on foot. In 1978, the Globe Monument was placed atop the cliffs, over 300 meters high, a large iron sculpture in the shape of a globe. It symbolizes the geographical location and has become a popular spot for visitors who want to experience the end of the world. On the plateau, I take a walk to experience the cliffs from different perspectives, and, of course, you also encounter reindeer here. Although the North Cape was the goal of my journey, I look back on the beautiful road trip I have already made. But thankfully, this is definitely not the end, as I still have the entire return trip through beautiful Norway ahead of me. Even though you drive the same 130 kilometers back, it gives a whole new perspective on the surroundings, so it doesn't feel like retracing steps. A new day and a beautiful new setting of rugged mountains. The further I drive south, the rougher the landscape becomes. Today's destination is the city of Tromsø, but along the way, a few stunning hikes await me. I start with the hike to the Gorsa Bridge, a route of about 4 kilometers that takes you to the bridge over the Gorsa Canyon. This narrow canyon has a depth of around 150 meters, with a waterfall plunging roughly 140 meters down. The combination of these elements makes the view from the bridge quite impressive. If you want to see the canyon up close, you can also bungee jump from the bridge, but I decided to pass on that option. I drive along the Lyngen Fjord to visit one of Norway's most impressive mountain landscapes. East of the city of Tromsø, you'll find the Lyngen Alps, a rugged mountain range on a peninsula that stretches over a length of 90 kilometers. This area is known for its jagged, sharp peaks, deep valleys, and vast glaciers. The highest mountain here reaches 1,833 meters and is also the tallest mountain in northern Norway. I take a climb to the remarkable Blåisvatnet, also known as the Blue Ice Lake. This hike isn't for everyone, as the extremely rocky path is challenging. The entire route is nearly 10 kilometers, which takes about 3 hours to complete. Along the way, the views of the mountain range are breathtaking. It's an exceptionally beautiful landscape. After a final climb over a wall of rocks, you'll see the vivid blue lake, standing out sharply against the rugged gray mountains surrounding it. The blue color of these lakes is formed by the melting glacier water, which contains minerals and sediments that give the water its striking blue hue. I leave this beautiful mountain range behind and take the ferry to the other side of the Fjord. Tromsø is one of the best places to admire the northern lights, but not in the summer, because it remains light for 24 hours a day during that time. The city has a diverse culture and offers access to many winter and summer activities. Additionally, Tromsø is home to the northernmost university in the world, which makes the city even more special. The city's rich history and photogenic streets make an evening walk through this city complete. For years, I've been looking forward to this day, the climb up Mount Hesten, with its stunning view of the impressive Segla mountain. The weather is unpredictable today, but I found a dry moment to start the ascent. Along the way, the view of the surroundings becomes more beautiful with every step, and once I reach the top, I'm rewarded with an indescribably beautiful moment. The views along the route are incredible. The enormous rock formations make this landscape surreal. I have a moment of realization. After all these years, I'm finally here. After this beautiful climb, I explore the rest of Senja Island, where this stunning mountain landscape is located. Senja is the second largest island in Norway and is connected to the mainland by a bridge. One of the most photogenic spots is Tungenset, which offers a view of the dramatic cliffs rising from the sea. The sunset makes this place even more special. I travel further south to the Bergsboden viewpoint, which provides a panoramic view of the pristine nature found here. It's a beautiful ending to this unforgettable day. Day 22. I start the day with a short walk through Aursjøvegen, after which I continue on my way to the Skilsund Bridge. In the coming days, I will be spending time in the archipelagos of Vesterålen and the Lofoten. This bridge was opened in 1975, has a length of 1 kilometer, and is the main traffic artery between the mainland and the islands. The first town I visit is Harstad. The history of this town dates back to the Viking Age, but it only received town status in 1904. Since then, it has undergone significant growth and now has around 24,000 inhabitants. From Harstad, I drive westward and take the ferry to Flesens to continue my journey to the northernmost island, Andøya. After thousands of kilometers and perhaps 1,000 warning signs for crossing moose, I had already given up hope of spotting one during this trip. But then, on the island of Andøya along the east coast, there's one standing by the side of the road. What I've been waiting for all this time. I am now in the perfect location for spotting moose, as many more will follow on my route to Andens. What enormous animals they are, and how lucky I am to see them after all on my journey. After a short stop in Andens, I enjoy the rugged landscape here and get ready for the climb to Mount Modent. I am still on the island of Andøya, where I am climbing Modent Mountain along the rugged west coast. I start from the parking area along the main road, and from there, the climb to the top is about 4 kilometers with over 500 meters of elevation gain. Part of the route follows fairly manageable paths, but there is also a section where you really have to climb over rocks, which makes the hike quite challenging. Along the way, I enjoy the stunning views of the surroundings, accompanied by the many sheep that roam here. After more than an hour of climbing, I reach the top, and indeed, the view of the coastline is breathtaking. Due to the strong wind at the summit, I don't stay long and head back down the same path as I came up. A bit further south on the island, you'll find the Bukkekirke viewpoint, where I make a brief stop. After that, I leave the island and spend the rest of the day exploring the pristine, rugged nature of Langøya, one of Norway's largest islands. After the heavy rain of the past few days, it's finally a beautiful day again. I'm happy about that because today, I'll be visiting what is reportedly the most beautiful archipelago, the Lofoten. Although this group of islands is large, I'll try to see as much as possible on this one day of good weather. I'll start by driving all the way to the south and then make my way back at a leisurely pace. The Lofoten Islands are characterized by steep, dramatic mountains that rise directly from the sea. The highest peaks, with the tallest reaching 1,161 meters, create an impressive contrast with the fjords and the sea. The main route through the Lofoten is the E10, one of Norway's national scenic routes. Arriving in the southern part of the archipelago, I make a quick stop at the small fishing village of Hamnøy. This red village, with rugged mountains in the background, is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful spots in the archipelago. A little further south, I start one of the most iconic hikes of the islands, the climb to Reinebringen. Like many others, I want to enjoy this beautiful day and take on the challenging climb to the top. To make the steep 1-kilometer ascent with a 500-meter elevation gain more accessible, a staircase with over 1,500 steps has been built in recent years. The view from the top is truly spectacular. The village of Reina lies below, surrounded by clear waters and dramatic mountain peaks. It's no wonder this panorama is one of the most photographed landscapes in Norway. When I'm back down, I naturally pay a visit to the village itself before beginning my journey back north. Although Reina is now primarily known as a tourist destination, it was once an important trading center in the 18th and 19th centuries. It served as a base for the Lofoten fishery, a tradition that dates back centuries and was focused on catching Norwegian cod. The landscapes of these islands are truly breathtaking. I could have stayed here for days. Unfortunately, with the arrival of heavy rain, that makes little sense. I stop at a typical Norwegian bridge, though one with an exceptional panoramic view of Mount Wallenstein. After having seen so many beautiful places on my way north, this breathtaking day has truly come to an end. Unfortunately, it has indeed started to rain, but that makes it just the right moment to explore the village of Henningsvær. This picturesque fishing village may have the most famous football field in the world. It is located on a small rocky island, completely surrounded by water. Due to the rain, there are no aerial images, but that doesn't make it any less special. The village, with about 500 inhabitants, is situated on a number of islands in the sea that are connected to the mainland by a bridge. I leave this beautiful archipelago behind me and head back to the mainland of Norway. Just when you think the landscape can't get any more beautiful, I am surprised again every time. Along the way, I pass the Skeiringstraumen with its impressive suspension bridge. This suspension bridge, measuring 551 meters in length, was built in the 1960s and has since become part of the backdrop of this wonderful landscape with its remarkable rock formations. The last stop I make is a special point on my route. During this journey through Norway, I have seen many mountains, but one mountain is regarded as the national mountain of Norway. This iconic mountain is known for its nearly perfect obelisk shape and steep granite walls. Towering nearly 1,400 meters above the surroundings, it has served for centuries as a natural beacon for sailors in northern Norway. The mountain was first climbed in 1910, but due to its steep walls, this is a challenging task. I start the day with a ferry from Kjøpsvik to Drag. In this part of Norway, there are no roads connecting the north and south of the country, so you always have to take the ferry. The further south I go, the more villages and towns I encounter. I also make a stop in Bodø, a coastal city just above the Arctic Circle with around 55,000 inhabitants. A striking building in the middle of the city is the modern cathedral from 1956, with a unique triangular spire. This cathedral was rebuilt after the bombings of World War II, during which half of the city was destroyed. South of the city, you find the Saltstraumen. This is the strongest tidal current in the world, creating an impressive natural phenomenon. The whirlpools that develop here can reach a diameter of up to 10 meters. The heavy rainfall of recent days has its benefits too. it results in a landscape with numerous waterfalls and raging streams. Water also flows down from the glaciers on all sides, and due to its force, it carries a lot of sand from the mountains. The blue water quickly turns into a brown mass, creating a striking contrast. At the end of the day, I take one last ferry from Jektvika to Kielbogam, a journey of about 1.5 hours, during which I cross the Arctic Circle once again. I start the day with a walk to the remarkable Castle of Marble. Despite the name, this is not an actual castle, but a unique marble rock formation shaped over centuries by water erosion. The special marble has been carved by glacial meltwater into various, sometimes rugged, shapes and has a beautiful light gray to white hue. From the parking area, this spot is reachable after about a 1.5-kilometer walk and climb and is a hidden gem in Norway. After experiencing this impressive natural phenomenon, I drive to the city of Mosjøen. Located on the banks of the Vefsna River, it is known as the oldest town in the Helgeland region. The historic character of Mosjøen is still evident. Here, you'll find a main street that is one of Norway's best preserved wooden streets. The many charming, colorful houses date back to the 19th century, when the town developed as a trading center. Not only have the old houses been preserved, but there is also an authentic Shell gas station from the 1950s, a unique landmark. While Norway's landscape is often very mountainous, there is a relatively flat stretch about halfway along the route. This is a perfect opportunity for a short detour into Sweden, where I plan to visit some beautiful waterfalls. Just over the border with Sweden lies the unique waterfall Hellingsåfallet. With great force, the water falls about 43 meters down, after which it carves its way through a gorge that is about 800 meters long. This makes it not only an impressive waterfall but also the longest water-filled gorge in Sweden. At the waterfall, you'll find several viewpoints and even a bridge located at the top of the waterfall. After spending the night in the Swedish city of Östersund, I take a morning walk through the city center. The city was founded in 1786 by King Gustav III of Sweden and was intended as a trading post and strategic hub for the region. Given its location by Lake Storsjö, it was a practical spot due to its many connections. After World War II, the city grew into an important destination for winter sports, offering excellent conditions for skiing, cross-country skiing, and biathlon. On my way back to Norway, I encounter the second remarkable waterfall in Sweden, namely the largest waterfall in the country in terms of water flow. At 38 meters, the Tännforsen is not very high, but with a width of 60 meters, it creates a truly impressive spectacle. You'll find several viewpoints from which you can admire the waterfall both from a distance and up close, making it extremely spectacular. The unique waterfalls I visited in Sweden are definitely worth a trip to this country. Norway is home to many military sites, including a fortress partially built into a hillside. Fort Hegra, constructed between 1908 and 1910, was part of a defensive line against Sweden during a period of significant tension between the two countries, though it was never used for that purpose. A few decades later it was needed to defend against the German invasion. The fort became famous for the courageous resistance it symbolized in April 1940, when about 250 Norwegian volunteers used it as a refuge and base of resistance against the Germans. Despite heavy bombardments and attacks, they held out for weeks until they were forced to surrender due to a lack of supplies and medical aid. Fort Hegra thus became a national symbol of Norwegian courage and determination during the war. Wandering through the narrow passageways and shelters within the hillside offers a vivid glimpse into the harsh conditions the defenders endured. The fort is a remarkable historical site, providing a unique perspective on the past. After much rain, I take an evening walk through Trondheim. This is Norway's third largest city and has a rich history that dates back to the Viking era. Trondheim is also known as the Royal City, as the kings of Norway were often crowned here. In the city, you'll find many historical buildings, such as the Nidaros Cathedral, built on the grave of King Olaf II, and the Old City Bridge from 1681, which offers a beautiful view over the colorful wooden warehouses along the river. In short, a lovely place to end the day. From Trondheim, I continue southward, where, after about 100 kilometers, the rugged mountain landscape begins again. My first stop is the climb to the Vinnufossen, which, at 860 meters, is the highest waterfall in Europe and ranks among the top 10 in the world. From the waterfall, it's only a short drive to the start of the panoramic mountain route, the Aursjøvegen. This route stretches nearly 100 kilometers and is mostly unpaved, narrow, and winding, a beautiful road with fantastic views of this impressive landscape. the end of the day, I reach the end of the route at Heddal, where a large lake lies nestled between towering mountains. After days, it's finally time to climb into the mountains and hike to Lidlfjellet. From this point, you have a beautiful view of the Romsdalen Valley, as well as the Trollstigen and the impressive Romsdalsbreen. The dramatic landscape that has formed here makes this hike very impressive. The valley from where I begin the climb is also very beautiful and perfect for resting at one of the many recreational spots. In the nearby town of Åndalsnes, you can take the cable car to reach the summit of Romsdalstigen, with a fantastic view. A few years ago I took this cable car, so this year I'm skipping it. I drive towards one of the most iconic and spectacular mountain passes in Norway, Trollstigen. This impressive road, with steep hairpin turns, waterfalls, and breathtaking views, is unfortunately closed this year due to falling rocks. The road was opened in 1936 and was, for its time, a true technical marvel. After experiencing this magnificent nature, I continue west to explore the coastal town of Ålesund. This town is located on an archipelago connected by tunnels and bridges. In 1904, it was struck by a major fire that nearly destroyed the entire city. After the fire, the city was rebuilt in the unique Art Nouveau style. The characteristic appearance, with graceful facades and towers on the roofs, makes the city one of the best examples of Art Nouveau architecture in Europe. A path with 418 steps takes you to the top of Mount Oxla. From this viewpoint, you have a panoramic view of the city and the surrounding islands. Day 31 of my journey, and the end is starting to come into view. Today, I begin the day again with a climb through the mountains to the Gaustabanen. The route is about 6 kilometers long, not very far, but steep in many places. Along the way, the views are stunning, both of the mountains I'm walking towards and the valley lying behind me. Unfortunately, the weather changes completely just before I reach the top, and I decide to head back down. The route starts along a private path where you have to open several gates and drive through fields with sheep and cows. From Sibo, I take the ferry across the Fjord. While there are beautiful roads here, the many ferries make a round trip feel complete. Experiencing the fjords from the water is sometimes unparalleled, especially as you sail through these magnificent landscapes. After the ferry, I drive almost directly into the Norangdal, also known as the Forgotten Valley, because of its isolated location and quiet, authentic atmosphere. The valley is quite narrow due to the dramatic, steep mountains on both sides, which gives it a unique ambience. Alongside the road, you can see remnants of old summer farms and huts, a reminder of the past when people lived in this remote place, before a road was built through the valley. Summer farming had its heyday in the 19th century and continued here until 1950. After a stop at the waterfall in Hellesilt and the viewpoint overlooking the beautiful Geiranger Fjord, I end the day in the village of Stream, where the river winds impressively through the valley. Lodalen is one of my favorite places in Norway. The blue water, the waterfalls, and the tranquility here are almost indescribable. However, this place also has a rich history. In the early 1900s, hundreds of people lost their lives here twice when a large part of the mountain broke off and caused a massive tidal wave. I travel one valley further to Jostedalsbreen, where I take a hike to the glacier lake. I'm now in Jostedalsbreen National Park, home to the largest glacier on the European mainland. This glacier has several accessible arms, and Jostedalsbreen is one of the most special. The steep cliffs, impressive waterfalls, and stunning glacier lake make this valley one of the most beautiful places in Norway. From the parking area, it's about 2.5 kilometers to walk to the Blue Lake. There are also carts that go toward the lake for those with limited mobility, although it's still about half a kilometer on foot from there. The national park has many more beautiful places, but I'll save those for another time. I'm taking the ferry from Heddal to Dragsvik, ending the day in good company and preparing for the journey to the city of Bergen. In Norway, you'll find 18 national tourist routes, some of which we have already encountered in this video. Today, I am starting with the Gaularfjellet route, which spans 114 kilometers. From the triangular viewing platform, you get a breathtaking panoramic view of the surrounding mountains and valleys. This route is also known as the waterfall route, as the Gaular River features several beautiful waterfalls along the way. It's the perfect moment to take a break and marvel at the powerful display of the water. On the way to Bergen, I come across beautiful places again, like this hidden valley. Sometimes it's good to leave the main roads and discover these secret spots. Bergen is located on the west coast, surrounded by mountains and fjords, and is the second largest city in the country after Oslo. The city was founded in 1070 and was an important trade center in northern Europe for centuries. The influences from that time are still visible in the historic district of Bryggen, located by the harbor. It consists of old wooden trading houses that have become an emblem of the city. Walking through the narrow paths between the buildings truly feels like stepping back in time by hundreds of years, which is why Bryggen is rightfully on the UNESCO World Heritage List. A popular attraction in the city is the Flybanen, a funicular that takes you to the top of the mountain in about 7 minutes, reaching a height of around 320 meters. The view over the city is breathtaking, both from the top and on the way up, offering a great perspective of the city's location surrounded by water. I choose to walk back down from the mountain. This area is popular for recreation and provides a wonderful way to escape the hustle and bustle of the city for a while. Near the village of Vassavanen, you'll find the remarkable Bordalsfjellet Gorge. Over several hundred meters, you can walk through this very narrow gorge, and is a nice short stop after visiting the town. In Norway, many tunnels have been constructed to make traveling through the country easier. You'll even find roundabouts inside some of these tunnels. The tunnel I'm currently in leads directly to the Hardanger Bridge as you exit the mountain, which is quite a unique experience. This bridge, opened in 2013, spans nearly 1.4 kilometers and is one of Norway's longest suspension bridges and even ranks among the top 10 suspension bridges with the longest spans in the world. With a height of 200 meters, it is an impressive sight towering above the fjord. The Vøringsfossen, one of the most famous and spectacular waterfalls in Norway. This waterfall has a free fall of 145 meters, where a massive column of water violently plunges down. Around the gorge where the waterfall lands, several platforms have been built to offer fantastic views. In 2020, a bridge staircase was also constructed over part of the gorge, making this waterfall even more spectacular. From this remarkable place, I move on to the next destination, the Gaustabanen. This mountain cableway was built in 1950 as part of a military complex during the Cold War. In 2010, part of the complex and the cableways were opened to the public. The journey consists of an initial horizontal cableway about 850 meters long, after which you transfer to a steep cableway approximately 1 kilometer long, bringing you to a height of 1850 meters, just below the mountain summit. From the end point, it's about a half-hour climb to the top of the mountain. While the distance may not seem far, the rocky terrain makes it a relatively challenging hike. This mountain peak is one of the highest in southern Norway, and on a clear day, you can even see 1/6 of all of Norway from this point. Many people choose to climb the entire mountain, but traveling via the old cableways inside the mountain makes visiting this peak a truly unique experience. If you're interested in history and engineering, this is a must-see. I decide to descend the mountain on foot, and after about an hour's walk, you'll find yourself back at the parking area near the cableway station. From this extraordinary structure inside the mountain, I drive to a centuries-old building, the Stave Church of Heddal. This church, built in the 13th century, is the largest remaining stave church in Norway. Unfortunately, the church is closed in the evening, so I can only admire its exterior. This remarkable place is sadly one of the last stops during my journey. The next morning, I prepare for the ferry ride to Denmark. After a short walk through the harbor city of Kristiansand, I leave beautiful Norway by boat. Following a few hours of sailing across the Skagerrak, I visit one last location, the lighthouse of Rubjerg Knude Fyr. This lighthouse was built in 1899 and was decommissioned in 1968. Due to the constant erosion of the cliff on which the lighthouse stands, it was severely threatened and on the verge of falling into the sea. In October 2019, it was spectacularly moved about 70 meters inland using a rail system, allowing it to be admired for decades to come. With the visit to this famous lighthouse, my journey sadly comes to an end. In the next video, I'll make a short stop in the German city of Bremen on my way back to the Netherlands. Over the course of 5 weeks, 9 countries, and nearly 14,000 kilometers, I've seen some of the most stunning places. Of the entire trip, Norway truly stands out at the top of the list. What a beautiful country and what an overwhelming natural environment it offers. I hope you've enjoyed my journey through Northern Europe and this video about indescribable Norway. Leave a comment letting me know what you thought and share the video with those you'd like to embark on this journey with. Like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't yet to make sure you don't miss my future travels. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.